Welcome back, history enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into one of the most curious and interesting little-known episodes in Australian history. Yes, this story may sound too strange to be true, but it did actually happen. The Great Emu War of 1932. Yes, you heard that right, a war against emus. But how did it come to this, you ask? Well, let's set the stage. In the early 1930s, Australia was struggling with the harsh impacts of the Great Depression. This global economic downturn had hit hard, and nowhere was this more evident than the farmlands of Western Australia. Wheat farmers, already struggling with failing prices and high debt, found their crops under siege from an unexpected adversary, the emu. Emus are large, flightless birds native to Australia. They are similar to the ostrich with a couple of differences. One, their neck is covered with feathers. And second, the emu wings are short and neither bird can fly. Normally, emus migrate after breeding season. Supplies being low helped drive them from their natural habitat due to the drought and hunger. So, like any other animal seeking food, they descended upon the farmlands in the tens of thousands, causing widespread destruction and chaos. These birds could consume and trample crops with extreme efficiency, leaving fences destroyed. This further allowed rabbits and other animals in as well to take part in the crop's destruction. This soon became a significant threat to the farmers' livelihoods. Desperate, the farmers turned to the government for help. The government responded by deploying soldiers armed with military-grade weapons to combat the feathered invaders. And so began one of history's most peculiar military engagements, the Great Emu War. In November 1932, Major G.P.W. Meredith of the 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery was tasked with leading this operation. He was joined by soldiers armed with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The plan seemed straightforward enough: drive out the emus and restore peace to the farmlands. But as any military strategist will tell you, even the best laid plans don't always go as expected. The soldiers soon found that emus were not easy targets. These birds were fast, agile, and remarkably resilient. The first battle took place near the town of Campion on November 2nd, 1932. The initial engagement was less than successful. The soldiers set up an ambush near a dam where about 50 emus were spotted. As the birds approached, the soldiers opened fire. However, the emus scattered, running in all directions. Despite the barrage of bullets, only a few emus were killed, and the majority escaped. Major Meredith quickly realized that hunting emus was not an easy task. The birds would often split into smaller groups, making them more difficult to hit. The soldiers decided to adapt their tactics, attempting to herd the emus into a confined area before opening fire, but the emus, surprisingly adept at evading capture, once again continued to outmaneuver the soldiers, leaving Meredith both puzzled and frustrated. As the days went by, the soldiers tried a multitude of different strategies. One of the most ambitious plans involved mounting a machine gun on the back of a truck to chase down the emus. A brilliant plan, however, this proved to be quite the disaster. The rough terrain made it difficult to aim accurately, and the emus easily outran the large and heavy vehicle. Meanwhile, the media caught wind of this unusual military campaign, and soon newspapers were filled with stories about the Emu War. The public found the whole affair both amusing and perplexing. Headlines poked fun at the soldiers' struggles, and the emus' seemingly invincibility became a source of national bemusement. Also, conservationists began protesting such acts, wanting to make sure the birds were not extinct, which, with all the failures thus far, that was not going to be a problem. By early December, after nearly a month of efforts, the campaign was deemed a failure. The soldiers had used over 2,500 rounds of ammunition and managed to kill only a small fraction of the emu population. Major Meredith and his men were withdrawn, having been bested by their feathered foes. This may be where the myth began about emus burying their heads in the sand. and the saying tail tucked beneath their legs, all because of the ninja-like abilities of the emus to fend off the Australian military. In the aftermath, the government faced criticism for the costly and ineffective operation. The farmers were left to fend for themselves, and the emu problem persisted. It wasn't until later efforts, including bounty systems and more effective fencing, that the emu menace was brought under control. The Great Emu War has since become a curious footnote in Australian history, a testament to the unpredictable challenges of life on the frontier and the resilience of nature. It serves as a reminder that even when the odds are against you, there is always a way through it, no matter how difficult life may seem. Just ask the Australian emu. Today, the emu remains a symbol of the Australian outback. They are protected by law and are a valued part of Australia's unique wildlife. The story of the Great Emu War continues to capture the imagination, blending humor with the sobering reality of human-animal conflict. As we reflect on this bizarre chapter of history, and I do mean bizarre, it's important to appreciate the lessons it offers. The Great Emu War highlights the challenges of managing wildlife and the unattended consequences of human intervention in nature. It also underscores the resilience of those who live and work in harsh environments, whether they be farmers during the Great Depression or the emus themselves. Life finds a way if there is a will. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of history's quirkiest conflicts. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Great Emu War, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating whispers of the past. We have plenty more stories to share, from the well-known to the obscure, each offering unique insights into the human experience. Thank you to all the viewers out there. Your interest in history keeps these stories alive. We couldn't do it without you. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, or if there's a particular historical event you'd like us to cover, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, history is full of unexpected stories. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and see you in the next video.